In this video, I explain to you the events of the American Civil War and how the conflict between the North and South shaped the country. We will look at how tensions grew, the war began, and what impact it had on the USA. In the 1850s, the North and South of the USA argued more and more. The North wanted to abolish slavery, while the South needed it for its cotton fields. There were also disputes over power and states' rights. It became clear a major conflict was approaching. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected president. He was against slavery, which angered the South. Many Southern states feared losing their way of life. Something big happened shortly after his election. In December 1860, South Carolina was the first state to leave the USA. Other Southern states like Mississippi and Alabama quickly followed. They formed the Confederate States of America. The North saw this as betrayal. On April 12, 1861, Southern soldiers fired on Fort Sumter in South Carolina. The fort belonged to the North, and the attack was the starting signal for the war. Lincoln then called up troops. The Civil War had begun. In July 1861, North and South met at Bull Run in Virginia. The South won unexpectedly, and the North was shocked. Many thought the war would end quickly. Wrong. It became a long fight. The North, also called the Union, had a plan called the Anaconda Plan. They wanted to cut off the South with a blockade and control the Mississippi River. This was to stop the Confederates from getting supplies. It was a clever but slow tactic. In 1862, Lincoln made it clear that the war was also about slavery. He wanted to free the slaves in the South to hurt the Confederates. Many black people fled to the North to be free. The issue became more important. On September 17, 1862, the armies fought at Antietam in Maryland. It was the bloodiest day of the war with thousands dead. The North won narrowly, and Lincoln used the victory for something big. It was a turning point. On January 1, 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. It freed all slaves in the Southern states on paper. Many in the North cheered, but in the South, anger was huge. The war now had a new meaning. From July 1st to 3rd, 1863, the armies met in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The South, under General Lee, wanted to surprise the North but lost. It was one of the most important battles of the war. The North grew stronger. After Gettysburg, Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address in November 1863. In the short speech, he said the USA stood for freedom and unity. It became very famous and is still important today. He gave hope to the soldiers. Despite losses, the South did not give up. General Robert E. Lee led his troops bravely. They had fewer men and weapons, but great determination. The war dragged on. In July 1863, after a long siege, the North captured Vicksburg on the Mississippi. This split the South in two and was a big victory for the Union. The Anaconda Plan worked slowly. The South lost strength. In 1864, General Sherman led an army through Georgia. He destroyed cities, fields, and railroads to weaken the South. His march to the sea was brutal but successful. The Confederates were crushed. In November 1864, Lincoln was re-elected despite the war. Many in the North believed in him and his plan. He promised to reunite the Union. His second term began with hope. On April 3, 1865, the North took Richmond, the capital of the Confederacy. The South had almost nothing left to fight with. Lee and his army fled. The end was near. On April 9, 1865, General Lee surrendered at Appomattox, Virginia. He met General Grant from the North and signed the surrender. The war was almost over. The soldiers were allowed to go home. By May 1865, the last Southern states laid down their arms. The Civil War was finally over after 4 years. Over 600,000 people had died. The USA remained one country, but it was wounded. On April 14, 1865, Lincoln was shot in a theater. John Wilkes Booth, a Southern supporter, was the killer. The North mourned their president. It was a shock after the victory. In December 1865, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution was passed. It banned slavery in the entire USA forever. Millions of black people were finally free. It was a huge step. After the war, the Reconstruction period started. The North wanted to rebuild and reintegrate the South. There were many problems, especially for the freed slaves. The wounds healed slowly. With the 14th and 15th Amendments, black people got citizenship and voting rights. This was new and important, but often contested in the South. Many white people resisted. It was a hard fight. The war had destroyed the South. Fields, towns, everything was ruined. Many white and black people lived in poverty. The North was economically stronger. The differences lasted a long time. After the war, railroads grew quickly. They helped connect North and South again. Goods and people could travel. The country became more modern. Children experienced the war up close. Some became soldiers, others lost their families. They had to grow up early. Their stories are sad but brave. Women sewed uniforms, cared for soldiers, and ran farms. In the North and South, they were important for the war effort. Some even spied. They were often overlooked but not forgotten. The war brought new weapons like rifles with longer range. There were also the first armored trains and submarines. Technology changed how wars were fought. It became more dangerous. Newspapers reported on battles and politics. They shaped what people thought. Some supported the North, others the South. Information was powerful. Today, many see the Civil War as a turning point. Movies, books, and monuments tell the story. It shows how important unity is. The scars are still felt. After the war, North and South remained different. The North became industrialized, the South stayed rural. The division was not gone, but the USA stayed together. The future was open.